My beloved child, before anything manifests in the visible world, I want you to understand this. This moment is not an ending, but a transition. There are seasons in life when you do not need more effort, more strategies, or more proof. What you need is awareness. Awareness that I am very near. Awareness that movements you cannot see are unfolding with perfect precision. Awareness that what you sense deep within is not a fleeting emotion, but a resonance between your spirit and what I am doing. I do not call you here to soothe you with pleasant words, nor to ease a passing weariness. I call you here to realign you, to place you on the right axis, where you can stand still and yet move forward, where you do not need to understand every detail, but can be certain that you are being led. Through many previous seasons, you became accustomed to carrying everything on your own. You learned how to be strong, how to endure, how to keep going even when there was little strength left inside you to hope. There were times when you stopped asking for great things and simply prayed that nothing would get worse. I was there in every moment you chose silence instead of complaint. In every time you refused to give up, even when no one encouraged you. You may have thought those steps were small, insignificant, barely worth noting. But to me, they were clear markers. For I do not measure your life by outward results, I measure it by quiet faithfulness. And it is precisely that faithfulness which opened a door you could never have opened by your own strength. Now, when I tell you that a great movement is drawing near, I do not speak from haste or emotion. I speak from the place of having seen your entire journey. I know how long you have waited. I know the nights you lay awake, not because you lacked things to do, but because your mind could not find answers. I know the questions you never voiced, because even you were afraid that naming them would cause hope to collapse. But, my child, it was in those silences that I worked most deeply. Some things can only be prepared in quiet, just as a seed must remain hidden in the soil before any sign of life breaks the surface. Understand this: the silence you endured was not a sign of absence, but a sign of orchestration. When I did not answer immediately, it was not because I did not hear, but because I was aligning many layers at once, aligning you, aligning circumstances, aligning the people who would one day step into your story. If even one element were out of rhythm, what I intend to give would lose its wholeness. So I held you back not to discourage you, but to protect you from entering too soon, before you were ready to carry the weight of what I plan to entrust to you. Perhaps you have wondered why you have changed so much recently. Things that once excited you no longer stir your heart. Relationships that once felt familiar now feel distant. Old goals no longer have the power to pull you forward. This is not confusion. It is a sign of inner restructuring. I am sharpening your sensitivity to what truly belongs to you, while making you incompatible with old patterns. When a garment no longer fits, the wearer does not need to keep altering it. They simply need to accept that they have grown. My child, I did not bring you to this threshold only to leave you standing there alone. What is about to open is not a reward for perfection, but the outcome of a process guided by grace. You did not arrive here by yourself. I led you step by step, even in moments when you thought you were lost. Some of the detours you took were not mistakes, but the only way you could learn what you will need for what lies ahead. Without those slower seasons, you would lack the depth required to remain steady when the pace increases. I know you are sensing a different kind of anticipation now, quiet, not frantic, yet steady and profound. It feels like standing before something very large, where excitement has matured into readiness. This is not the eagerness of a child, but the preparedness of one who has walked long enough to understand that what is coming carries responsibility. Do not fear this feeling. It is not pressure. It is evidence that you are growing into the capacity to receive something greater without being consumed by it. I do not bless you to overwhelm you. I bless you to position you rightly. Scripture speaks of promises that do not arrive in wind or fire, but in a gentle whisper. What I am doing in your life is the same. It does not need noise to prove its power. Its precision is proof enough. When the time comes, you will see how everything fits together in a way no amount of human effort could have engineered. You will look back and understand that if it had come even a little earlier or a little later, the outcome would have been entirely different. I am inviting you into a new way of living, one where you no longer act from scarcity, but from trust. This does not mean that all questions will disappear, but it does mean that questions will no longer dictate your steps. You will learn to move forward without seeing the full picture, because you know the one who holds it. I do not ask you to be brave by force of will. I ask you to be rooted enough not to be shaken by conflicting signals. Even now, doors within your thinking are opening. Old limitations, beliefs such as I can't, I'm not enough, or I missed my chance, are losing their weight. Not because you are convincing yourself to be more positive, but because truth is replacing assumption. When light enters, darkness does not need to be pushed out. It withdraws on its own. I am shining that light into the deepest places of you, where you once hid the fear that if you dared to hope again, you might be disappointed once more. Remain in this posture. Do not rush to interpret. Do not try to label what is happening. Some things must be felt before they are understood. I am laying a foundation for a sequence of events you will not need to force into being. Your part is not to accelerate the process, but to keep your heart soft, aware, and ready. When you stand in that posture, what belongs to you will come not through striving, but through recognition. This is only the beginning. What I am awakening within you now is the foundation for the entire story that is about to unfold. You do not need to see everything yet. You only need to trust that I do not waste anything in your life. Every season you have walked through, everything you have endured, every choice you made in the dark is now converging into this moment. From this foundation, I will build something enduring, not rooted in fleeting emotions, but grounded in the eternal truth that you are known, chosen, and guided. Slow your breathing. Let your heart settle. What is coming does not require you to run. It requires you to stand in the right place. And I am here, right beside you, leading you step by step into what I have been preparing for a very long time. My beloved child, when you have stood still long enough for your inner world to quiet, I want you to notice something subtle yet profoundly important. There are moments in life when movement does not begin with action, but with a shift of inner position. You are no longer standing where you once were. Even if external circumstances have not yet caught up, inside you, a new axis has been established. You no longer view everything from a place of lack, nor do you measure the future by past failures. I have moved you to a different vantage point, one from which you can begin to see that what is happening is not working against you, but serving something larger you are about to step into. In previous seasons, you worked tirelessly just to keep everything from falling apart. You became accustomed to holding tension in your body and soul, as though loosening your grip even slightly would cause everything to collapse. I saw that. I saw the weariness hidden behind composure, and the decisions made not from desire, but from fear of losing more. Now, however, I am teaching you a different rhythm, not the rhythm of control, but the rhythm of companionship, as you release the need to hold everything by your own strength. You begin to sense a sustaining flow you once doubted was real. What is coming is not built on tension. If you must strain yourself to enter it, then it is not what I have prepared for you. What I bring carries a different kind of steadiness, one that allows you to move forward without trading away your peace. You will recognize it not by a surge of excitement, but by a strange calm when facing a significant decision. That calm does not arise because all risks have vanished, but because you know you are not walking alone. Throughout the history of faith, there have been people who stood at crossroads where, by human reasoning, they lacked sufficient resources to move forward. Yet it was precisely there that they learned true security does not reside in what they hold, but in the one who calls them onward. You are standing at a similar point now. Though your circumstances bear a unique shape, I do not repeat another person's story in your life. I am writing a new one, suited to who you are becoming. So do not compare your pace with anyone else's. What I am doing has its own tempo, and you are moving in step with it. You may have noticed that recently you no longer react as strongly as you once did. Things that used to alarm you now cause you to pause and observe. Words that once struck deep fear no longer hold the same power. This is not because you have grown numb, but because you are being anchored at a deeper level. When roots are firmly planted, the wind does not need to stop for the tree to stand. This is how I am strengthening you, not by removing challenges, but by reinforcing the ground beneath you. The slowing you experienced was not a meaningless delay. Some processes, if rushed, would damage the inner structure. I gave you time to release expectations that no longer fit, to lay down images of yourself you carried for too long simply because you believed they kept you safe. I did not take anything precious from you. I only removed what was no longer necessary, so you could move more lightly when the time comes. Now, when I say you are being drawn close to an opening, I am not speaking of a blind leap. I am speaking of a door you will recognize by a strange familiarity, as though you have seen it within yourself for a long time. When you stand before that door, you will not need external confirmation that this is the right direction. The resonance within you will provide it. You will know not by proof, but by a deep agreement between your mind, your soul, and my guidance. Understand this: what is coming does not require you to become a different version of yourself in order to be worthy. You do not need to reshape yourself to fit an old mold. That mold has already been removed. What I give will fit who you truly are, not who you once tried to appear to be. Because of this, you will not feel as though you are performing a role, nor will you live in constant fear of being exposed. I am leading you into a space where authenticity is no longer a risk, but the foundation. In the days ahead, you may notice certain things naturally falling away. Conversations lose their vitality. Plans that once seemed compelling no longer draw you in. Do not cling to them out of familiarity. When I clear space, it is because I am preparing room for something else to enter. Temporary emptiness is not a sign of loss, but evidence of rearrangement. I never remove without intending to replace with something more fitting. I am training you to recognize timing. Not every open door must be stepped through immediately. Some doors are meant to be seen, acknowledged, and then waited on until inner prompting and peace meet at the same point. You are learning how to wait without anxiety, how to remain still without fear of being left behind. This is a new capacity, and it will protect you from many hasty decisions in the road ahead. I am also reshaping how you perceive your own worth. In the past, you may have measured it by recognition, visible achievement, or how well you met others' expectations. I am drawing you back to a different measure, whether you are standing where I have placed you. When you are in the right place, your worth no longer needs to be argued. It is present, steady, and not easily shaken by praise or criticism. You have not missed anything meant for you. What is destined for you is still waiting intact, untouched. The time you thought you lost was actually used to prepare you to hold it without losing yourself. I care more about who you are becoming than how quickly you arrive. As you remain in this state of awareness, begin to notice the gentlest signals, an idea that arises and stays. A meeting that seems accidental, yet leaves a deep echo. A quiet but persistent nudge. Do not rush to act on them. Observe. I will ensure that what comes from me can endure over time, not dissolve after a passing emotion. You are learning to discern the difference between attraction and calling. This is the season in which I am aligning you so that when you move forward, you will not need to keep turning back to check whether you are on the right path. Certainty will come not as a loud declaration, but as a steady inner current. And as you walk within that current, you will discover that what I bring does not require you to compete or grasp. It arrives at the right time, in the right way, and it remains. Keep your heart open. Do not close yourself off simply because you have not yet seen immediate results. What I am building cannot be rushed to completion. Yet when it is revealed, you will see that every layer, every detail, was necessary. You are being prepared not only to receive, but to steward, to safeguard what is given, and to walk in it with wisdom and humility. Do not forget, this is still not the climax. This is the middle place, where foundations are reinforced, where you learn how to remain steady while everything is being rearranged. Stay in this posture of trust a little longer. I am very near, and what I do next will begin to touch your visible world in ways you can recognize. My beloved child, now listen from a deeper place, not only with thought or emotion, but from the quiet center within you, the place where you know, without needing explanation, what I am about to do no longer remains only an inner preparation. It begins to touch the boundary between the unseen and the seen. You are standing at a threshold you have never stood before, not because you lacked effort, but because the time was not yet permitted. Now that boundary is thinning, and what has been arranged in the invisible realm is beginning to find its way into your lived reality. I know you have grown used to things unfolding slowly, step by step, as though every bit of progress required long endurance. You learn to expect less in order to protect yourself from disappointment. But in this moment, I am inviting you to lay down that defense, not because you have become naive, but because you are no longer in a season that requires constant self-protection. I am placing you in a space where openness is no longer a risk, but the condition through which the new can enter. What I am about to bring will not require you to fight to hold on to it. It will arrive with a quality unfamiliar to what you have known before, without tension, without urgency, without coercion. You will recognize it by a strange sense of alignment, as though everything naturally settles into its proper place. The questions you once carried will no longer need detailed answers, because the presence of what comes will itself be the answer. You will know this is not a random opportunity, but part of a current that has been guided for a very long time. This opening is not meant to prove anything to others. It is not designed to make you right in anyone's eyes, nor to compensate for moments when you were underestimated. I do not bless in order to heal a wounded ego. I bless so that you may stand firmly in your true identity. That is why, when this comes, you will feel no need to boast or explain. The certainty within you will be strong enough that you will not need external validation. In the days ahead, you will begin to notice very tangible signs, though they will arrive more gently than you expect. A conversation that opens a new direction. A decision that suddenly becomes clear after long ambiguity. A door that no longer requires repeated knocking. Do not overlook these small things, for it is precisely in simplicity that I am at work. I do not need grand displays to impress. My true power is often revealed through precision. At times you may ask yourself, is this really what I've been waiting for all along? The answer will not be found in drama, but in fit. What belongs to you will not require you to shrink yourself to make it work, nor will it demand that you sacrifice the values I have formed within you. It will allow you to walk whole, undivided, not living as two different versions of yourself. When you can be fully who you are without needing to defend yourself, that is the sign you are in the right place. Prepare for a very important shift, the way you look toward the future. Before, you may have approached what lay ahead with caution, always leaving yourself an escape route in case things did not unfold as hoped. In this season, I am inviting you to move forward without keeping a retreat behind you, not because you are reckless, but because you are learning full trust. Trust does not mean you see no risk. Trust means you know that whatever happens, I remain there to lead you onward. My child, I am not only opening a door for you, I am changing the way you walk through doors. You will no longer rush in out of fear of missing out, nor linger outside out of fear of failure. You will step through with the calm of one who knows they are invited, not one who must compete for entry. That calm will surprise many, because they are used to seeing you work very hard just to maintain balance. But you no longer need to prove that. There is one more thing I want you to hold deeply. What I am doing will extend beyond the boundaries of your personal life, not in a way that burdens you with responsibility for everyone, but in the way your inner transformation will naturally create ripples. Those close to you will sense the difference not through what you say, but through how you are present. The peace you carry will become a language, and through that language, conversations once impossible will begin to open. I am positioning you so that your maturity becomes a place of refuge for others, not because you are perfect, but because you have walked far enough to understand. Still, remember this: you are not called to save everyone. You are called to be faithful to the portion I entrust to you. And that faithfulness begins with living in alignment with what I am doing within you. When you keep proper boundaries, grace flows in the right direction. Do not fear when you realize you no longer fit certain old spaces. This is not loss, it is evidence of transition. Places that once felt like shelter now feel too small. Not because they are wrong, but because you have grown. I did not remove you by force. I simply made you no longer belong. And when you accept this, you will find that this leaving carries not sorrow, but relief. Do not try to rush what is unfolding naturally. What I am doing does not need your pressure to take shape. On the contrary, it needs your full presence in each moment. When you are present, you do not miss what matters. When you are present, you do not drift off course. When you are present, you allow me to lead you without resistance. You are moving out of a season of living by constant effort to maintain, and into a season of living by receiving. This does not make you passive, it makes you precise. From here on, every step you take will carry greater weight, not because you do more, but because you are no longer scattered. I am gathering the fragmented parts within you and placing them in right order. And from that order, a new strength will emerge. My beloved child, Recognize that what is happening now is no longer only preparation. There are moments in life when a quiet process shifts into activation, like a circuit being completed and light beginning to spread. You may not yet see the whole picture, but you will clearly feel the difference. Nothing is standing still anymore. What was once held back is beginning to move. What was once waiting is drawing near. This is not a sense of urgency, but a growing certainty that a sequence long arranged is now unfolding step by step. This activation does not come to overwhelm you. I do not lead you into something large before you have learned how to stand firm in something small. But now, you are steady enough to recognize that when I open the way, you do not need to guess whether to step forward. You will know. You will recognize the rhythm through a deep alignment between what I speak and what you are living. This alignment is quiet, not dramatic, yet strong enough to keep you from being pulled back and forth by conflicting voices. You may already notice that decisions which once felt very difficult are becoming simpler, not because all risk has disappeared, but because your priorities have been clarified. When what is essential is clear, secondary things lose their power to distract you. I am teaching you to discern between what is necessary and what merely creates noise. And as the noise fades, my guidance becomes clearer than ever. My child, activation often comes with choices that must be made sooner than you expect, not because I rush you, but because you have been prepared long enough that prolonged hesitation is no longer needed. You will not be placed in situations where you must decide in confusion. Clarity will come first, and choice will follow. I am not asking you to gamble. I am inviting you to respond. In Scripture, there are moments when doors open only briefly, and those who are called must rise as soon as the invitation comes, not because they are hurried, but because they have lived in a posture of readiness long before. You are the same. The years you thought were merely waiting have actually trained you for this moment. So, when what I have ordained begins to surface, you will not panic, nor will you delay in uncertainty. You will move with the calm of one who has learned to recognize my voice. I know you once feared that if things changed too quickly, you would not be able to hold them. But my child, I do not bring something large to test your limits. I bring it because I have already expanded those limits from within. You are no longer the person you were in previous seasons. What once destabilized you no longer holds the same power. I taught you how to remain, how to wait, how not to react impulsively. Those lessons have now become the foundation that allows you to stand firm when the pace increases. This activation will also reveal something clearly. There were doors you tried to open by your own strength, yet they did not move, not because you lacked effort, but because they were not meant for you in that season. Now, as I bring you to the right position, you will see that some doors open with almost no force at all. This does not diminish the value of your journey. It confirms that every step of preparation mattered. I never let your effort be wasted. I simply redirected it toward the right path. Be aware that as the new begins to manifest, old voices may attempt to pull you back into doubt, not because they have authority, but because habit often speaks before truth is fully established. Do not argue with those voices. Do not try to prove them wrong. Simply remain in the certainty I am building within you. When doubt is not fed, it dissolves on its own, lacking the energy to survive. During this time, you will also notice that I am connecting you with people and circumstances with great precision. Not everyone who enters your life will remain long-term, and not every encounter will be decisive. But you will recognize certain moments of contact where even a single conversation shifts your perspective. Do not dismiss these. I often use very simple means to open very significant doors. Activation does not mean everything will instantly become perfect. There will still be lessons to learn and adjustments to make. But the difference is this: you are no longer learning in the dark. You are learning in the light of guidance. When you stumble, you will not spiral into confusion, wondering if you have gone completely wrong. You will rise more quickly, adjust more accurately, and continue forward without carrying the burden of self-condemnation. I am inviting you into a season where cooperation between you and me becomes very clear. You do not do my part, and I do not leave you to manage on your own. This is a rhythm of partnership, where every step you take is supported, and every decision you make has room for my wisdom to be revealed. You will begin to see that when you are in the right place, your effort is multiplied in a natural way. There may be moments when you feel you are moving beyond familiar territory faster than expected. Do not be afraid. I am not pulling you out of safety to place you in danger. I am drawing you out of familiarity to lead you into vitality. Familiarity can feel secure, but only vitality produces growth, and you are ready for that vitality now. Keep your heart soft in these days. Do not confine what I am doing within old frameworks. I do not repeat my ways in your life. Each season has its own language. Each transition, its own shape. If you try to force old patterns onto the new, you will miss the freshness I am revealing. Allow me to do what I desire, in the way I know is best. This is the beginning of a new chapter in the story I am writing with you. Activation has begun. Even if it is not yet loud, pay attention to subtle movements, for they will lead you to very concrete steps in the days ahead. You do not need to push the process forward, you only need to keep walking in trust, because I am going before you, opening the way one step at a time. My beloved, I want you to learn a vital skill for this season, recognizing signs without being swept away by emotion. The signs I give are not meant to make you impatient, nor to pressure you into immediate action. They come to confirm direction, to let you know you are in the right lane. If you rush to interpret them, you will turn confirmation into tension. If you wait with awareness, you will turn confirmation into strength. In the days ahead, you will notice pieces beginning to draw closer together. What once felt scattered will begin to converge. An idea may arise and meet the right person to help give it form. A need you quietly carried may be answered by an unexpected offer. These alignments are not accidental, but I do not want you to label everything as a miracle and lose discernment. Miracles do not replace discernment, they sharpen it. You are learning to honor process even as outcomes begin to appear. I know you became accustomed to protecting yourself by keeping expectations low. That habit helped you survive difficult seasons. But in this season, it can become an invisible break. I am not asking you to gamble with your emotions. I am inviting you into ordered openness. Ordered openness allows the new to enter without losing boundaries. You do not need to give full trust all at once. You only need to allow me to lead you step by step, and each step will be confirmed by peace. There will be signs that are very specific yet subtle, a peace that remains even when you cannot yet see the entire path. Clarity that increases rather than fades after each time you pray. A sense of being in the right place that appears without anyone cheering you on. These signs are different from short-lived excitement, which arrives quickly and disappears just as fast. What comes from me has the capacity to stand through the night, through time, through questions that have not yet found answers. If something requires you to push yourself unnaturally, to violate the principles I have planted within you, then pause. I do not contradict myself. Pay attention to how you respond when small obstacles appear. In former seasons, a single setback could cause you to doubt the entire direction. In this season, small obstacles will no longer have the power to knock you off course. You will learn to see them as adjustments, not as signs of failure. When you do not magnify resistance, you preserve the peace needed to perceive solutions. And when peace remains, you hear me more clearly. I am teaching you to discern between what is fast and what is right. What is right is not always slow, and what is fast is not always wrong, but what is right is always accompanied by steadiness. You will recognize the rhythm of what is right by the fact that you do not need to keep explaining it to yourself. It carries internal consistency. What is right today remains right tomorrow. When you return to it in prayer, it does not collapse, it strengthens. Allow short spans of time to confirm direction. Do not let momentary emotion decide. You may notice that invitations begin to appear more frequently. Not every invitation is meant for you. I did not bring you into this season to make you busy. I brought you into it to make you precise. Every yes now must be weighed carefully, because every yes sets multiple consequences in motion. I give you permission to say not yet, without fearing that you will miss what belongs to you. What is meant for you knows how to wait for you. What is not meant for you will try to rush you. Use this distinction to discern. I am also reshaping how you steward your energy. Before, you may have spread yourself thin trying to sustain every relationship, every commitment, every plan at once. This season requires focus. I am not taking joy from you. I am teaching you where to place it. When energy is placed correctly, outcomes go deeper, even if the effort looks smaller. This is not doing less out of laziness, but doing less out of wisdom. Let me speak to a very subtle fear that may surface, the fear that if you trust too fully, you will be wounded again. I understand that fear, but I am not asking you to place your trust in people. I am inviting you to place your trust in me, so that from that foundation you can trust safely. When you are rooted in me, you can remain open without losing self-governance. You will no longer need to shut every door for protection. You will learn how to open doors to the right measure. In this process, you will notice something interesting. External confirmation may arrive after internal confirmation has already settled within you. Do not reverse the order. If you wait for others to confirm first, you will become dependent. If you allow me to confirm first, you will remain free. Others come to agree, not to decide in your place. I am cultivating within you a quiet authority, one that does not need to impose itself or argue, yet is stable enough not to be shaken. You will need to release certain old expectations. Some images of how things should unfold once helped you hope, but they no longer fit what I am doing now. I am not diminishing what I give. I am making it more real. What is real may not resemble imagination, but when you step into it, you will discover that it satisfies you more deeply. Allow me to renew the way you envision blessing, not only the outcome, but the way you live within that outcome. I am leading you into a peace that has carrying capacity. This peace does not disappear when pressure increases. It becomes clearer. When you face a choice, peace will guide you. When you receive an invitation, peace will discern. When you encounter waiting, peace will keep you from impatience. Do not treat peace as an emotion. Treat it as a navigational signal. Where peace remains, I am present. You will need to say no to some things you once longed for. Do not grieve them. Every well-placed no is protecting a more significant yes ahead. I do not prune to impoverish you. I prune so that you may bear more fruit. When you understand this, you will release without resentment and move forward without looking back. My child, continue to pray, not to force answers from me, but to remain near me. In that closeness, many questions will dissolve on their own. You do not need to know every step, you need to know the one who leads. When you know me, you will trust the path I open, and when you trust the path I open, you will walk without losing the softness of your heart. This is a season in which confirmation increases and responsibility increases with it. I trust you to carry it, because I prepared you not through noise, but through faithfulness. Move forward with awareness. Keep your heart at rest, and allow the signs to do their work, not to pressure you, but to strengthen you. I am guiding you with precision, and you are learning to walk beautifully within that guidance. My child, I want you to enter a crucial part of this season, not only recognizing signs, but responding at the right rhythm. Some doors open not for prolonged observation, but for crossing with trust. Yet I do not want you to cross in haste. The difference between right timing and rushing is, this right timing leaves you more peaceful after you act, rushing leaves you more tense, even after action. Listen carefully. Then, because what I am teaching you now will protect you from carrying old burdens into new spaces. First, I want you to face what once caused you hesitation, the fear of being wrong. You have lived through enough moments where a small choice triggered a chain of difficult consequences, teaching you to be cautious, sometimes to the point of imprisoning yourself in analysis. I do not fault you for this. I understand. But my child, this season does not permit you to live under the weight of fear, not because everything becomes easy, but because I am bringing you into a place where guidance is clearer. You no longer need to guess. You will learn to decide from peace, not from panic. And when you decide from peace, you will find that mistakes no longer have the power to destroy you as before, because I am able to adjust and realign you even as you walk. When I open a door, I do not only open opportunity, I open the capacity for you to step through. Do not think you must be good enough before you move. If I waited for your perfection, you would never begin. I do not need perfection, I need obedience. Step by step. Obedience is not recklessness, it is responding to a call with trust that I have already gone ahead. You will notice something remarkable the moment you place your foot in the right direction. Strength arrives, not before but while you are walking. Some decisions in this season will appear small, yet they are hinges. A meeting you choose to keep or cancel, a word you choose to speak or withhold, an invitation you accept or decline. I am not asking you to see everything as a sign, I am asking you to live awake, for in that wakefulness, you will recognize the intersections I have placed along your path. These intersections do not need drama to matter, they matter because they shape direction. I also want you to remember this, you are not stepping into the new while carrying the old ways. Some habits once helped you survive, but they no longer serve your growth. Constant doubt, asking for too many opinions in order to avoid responsibility, overcommitting so you can feel valuable, holding on to draining connections simply because you fear being seen as cold. My child, what I am opening for you requires lightness. If you cross the threshold while still carrying these burdens, you will weigh yourself down in the very place where I intend you to be free. A traveler who is meant to go far cannot carry everything that belonged to the old house. Some items are not wrong, they are simply no longer necessary. In the same way, you do not need to condemn the past in order to enter the future, you only need to choose wisely. Choosing is not ingratitude, choosing is wisdom. When you choose, You honor the old journey without letting it govern you. You keep the lessons, but you do not keep the chains. The key choice in this season is not only what to do, but with what posture to do it. You can do the right thing with the wrong posture, and it will distort the outcome. If you enter the new with a need to prove yourself, you will grow weary. If you enter with fear of loss, you will cling too tightly. If you enter with a posture of competition, you will lose your softness. But if you enter with trust and gratitude, you will see things move more smoothly than you expect. I want you to enter as one who is invited, not as one who must fight for a place. There will be moments when an opportunity stands before you and your heart trembles. Do not mistake trembling for a sign that you are wrong. Often, it simply means you are stepping beyond what is familiar. The question is this: when you tremble, does deep peace still remain beneath the trembling? If peace stays under the shaking, that is a sign I am there. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is walking while trembling because you know I am holding your hand. I did not promise you would never tremble. I promised you would never be alone. I also want you to be ready for the reactions of others. When I lift you, not everyone will understand. Some will call it luck, and some will assign motives to you that you do not carry. Do not over-explain. Those who must understand will understand in time. What I am doing in you will speak for you. You do not need to defend your reputation through arguments. You only need to guard your heart through integrity. When you live uprightly, I will vindicate you in ways you cannot accomplish for yourself. In this season, you will encounter invitations back to the old, not always to something evil, but often to what feels familiar and safe. Remember, what is familiar is not always what is right for the present. Some places were once home, but now they are only memory. If you return merely to prove that you are fine, you will step back into a cycle. I did not heal you so you could live as you once did. I healed you so you could move forward. Maturity does not require an audience. Maturity is recognized when you are no longer pulled by what once bound you. When the door opens and you step through with a simple decision. In your spirit, I will not carry fear. Fear makes you interpret everything through a defensive lens. It turns blessing into burden, opportunity into pressure, growth into a race. I do not give the new so you will live under pressure. I give the new so you can live wider, deeper, steadier. Let trust become your breath. Trust does not make you weak. Trust aligns you. And when you are aligned, you will discover that I can do more through you without exhausting you. Release. Within your heart, what you have tried to hold for too long. No grand ritual is needed, only a quiet decision. I let go. When you let go, you make room for the new. When you let go, you allow me to complete what I began. And when you step through this door, you will realize you are not entering emptiness. You are entering what has been prepared. Activation has reached the point where you no longer need to keep persuading yourself. You only need to continue walking in awareness and obedience. I am moving you from signs into reality, from promise into manifestation. What I speak to you next will widen the picture, not to confuse you, but to steady you. And you will see what I am writing is not only a new chapter, but a new direction for the whole story of your life. My beloved child, what I am doing is no longer confined to the hidden depths of your spirit. It is beginning to touch the space around you, circumstances, relationships, paths that others can also see. This is the stage where guidance is no longer only inwardly sensed, but begins to take concrete form in daily life. I did not move you into this season to make you the center of attention. I moved you so that what I have planted within you can bear fruit in the right place and at the right time. You may notice that certain things begin to change without you forcing them. Doors you once believed were sealed start opening naturally. People who were distant reappear with a different posture. Opportunities once beyond your reach draw nearer, not because you have risen by the world's definition, but because I have positioned you rightly. When you are in the right position, what is appointed for you will come to you. You do not need to chase, you only need to remain faithful. My child, this public opening is not meant to test your humility, it is meant to confirm your preparation. I do not expose you before you have learned how to stand without needing applause. I know you have endured seasons of being misunderstood, underestimated, even overlooked. Those experiences were not punishment, they were training. I used them to shape an identity that does not depend on the gaze of others. So when I allow light to fall upon what I am doing in you, that light will not blind you. A redirection is taking place that you cannot ignore. Not a sharp turn that throws you into confusion, but a decisive and gentle shift, like realizing you have stepped onto a different road without hearing any loud sound. I am leading you out of paths that demanded constant self-justification and into a path where your value is recognized through true presence and real contribution. You will no longer need to strive to be seen. You will be placed where what you carry is needed. This redirection will also require you to change how you define success. Before, you may have tied success to reaching a milestone, surpassing someone, or proving something. I am renewing that definition within you. Success in this season is not measured by speed or scale, but by the harmony between what you do and what I am guiding. In that harmony, you will find you no longer need to force things to work. Many pieces will naturally fit. I know a part of you still remains cautious, as though you fear that if you trust this opening too much, you might be disappointed again. I do not condemn that caution, but I want you to distinguish between wisdom and prolonged defensiveness. Wisdom helps you walk awake. Prolonged defensiveness keeps you standing outside what I am doing. I am not asking you to close your eyes and rush forward. I am asking you to open your eyes and walk with me. Walking with me does not remove awareness, it simply refuses to be governed by fear. In this stage, you will need to learn how to steward what is entrusted to you, not by control, but by faithfulness. I do not give to you so you can possess it by clinging. I give so you can care for it, cultivate it, and allow it to bear fruit. If you grip it tightly out of fear, you will suffocate the life within it. If you neglect it because you assume it will run on its own, you will miss responsibility. I am teaching you a new rhythm, active yet trusting, fully doing your part while allowing me to do mine. As what I am doing becomes clearer to others, reactions will vary. Some will rejoice and walk with you. Some will keep distance because they do not understand the change within you. Some may question, even doubt. Do not let their reactions adjust your direction. I did not bring you into the light so you could please every set of eyes. I brought you into the light so you could walk honestly with what I have placed within you. When you keep your heart upright, I will keep your path secure. There is a very subtle temptation in this season that I want you to recognize, the temptation to do more than is necessary in order to feel worthy of what has been given. You do not need to pay extra for grace. You do not need to prove that you deserve it. If you work from that motive, you will quickly grow weary and lose your joy. I want you to work from gratitude, not from fear of having something taken away. What I give is not withdrawn when you rest. It is nourished when you live in the right rhythm. I am teaching you how to stand in quiet authority. This authority does not need to raise its voice, impose itself, or argue for recognition. It flows from alignment between your words, your actions, and the values you live by. When you stand in this authority, you will notice that people listen not because you are persuasive, but because your presence brings clarity and a sense of safety. This is an authority formed over time. It cannot be fabricated, and it cannot be imitated. You may be surprised to discover that some things you once believed were final goals are now simply tools. This does not diminish their value, it places them correctly. When goals are in the right place, they no longer control you. You use them instead of being used by them. I am freeing you from tying your identity to any outcome, so that you can walk with greater freedom in what I entrust to you. Pay attention to the rhythm of your life in this season. As I widen your influence, I am also inviting you to protect your depth. Do not trade inner stillness for outward busyness. Moments alone with me are not something you do only when time allows. They are the source that sustains everything you do. If you keep this rhythm, you will not be depleted even as responsibility increases. You are no longer standing on the edge, waiting to see what will happen. You are already inside what is happening. The redirection has begun. You do not need larger signs in order to believe. The consistency of small steps is already confirming the path. Keep moving forward with humility, with awareness, and with steady trust that I am walking with you in every detail. What I am opening is not a short phase, but a direction capable of producing lasting fruit if you steward it with wisdom and trust. Allow me to continue leading you, because what lies ahead will require not only receiving, but also guarding and tending. And I will be there, teaching you step by step, just as I have done since the earliest days when all you could see was waiting. My beloved child, I want you to learn a lesson that is subtle yet decisive, how to remain balanced as the range of your influence expands. Expansion does not automatically mean maturity. It becomes a lasting blessing only when you keep your center from being pulled off course. I do not give you more so that you must trade away your peace. I give you more so that you learn how to carry greater weight without losing yourself. In previous seasons, you learned how to live small, not because you desired less, but because circumstances forced you to draw inward in order to survive. In those seasons, you learned how to conserve energy, how to say enough, how not to let everything penetrate too deeply. Those skills saved you. But, my child, they were never meant to become a permanent way of living. Now that I am expanding the space in which you walk, you must learn a new rhythm, not shrinking out of fear of loss, and not overextending out of excitement, but opening with order. Understand this balance does not come from controlling everything around you, but from knowing where you stand. When you know where you stand, you are not pulled by demands that do not belong to you. When you know where you stand, you do not need to respond to every invitation. I am training you to discern between what you can do and what you are assigned to do. Not everything you are capable of is something you are called to carry. In this season, you will notice more voices calling for your attention. Some arise from genuine needs in others. Some come from expectations placed upon you. Some come from your own desire to make the most of opportunity. But only a few come from me. I am not saying this to make you afraid of missing out. I am saying it so that you can choose freely. What comes from me carries a clear mark. It does not pull you away from your inner center. Even when it calls you outward, it keeps you within my presence. Be attentive to your rhythm of rest. Rest in a season of expansion is not a luxury, it is a strategy. If you rest only after exhaustion, you will carry fatigue into what I am building. I do not want you working for me. I want you working with me. And working with me includes learning how to stop at the right time, not out of fear of failure, but out of trust that the process does not collapse when you rest. When you trust this, you are expressing mature faith. My child, there is another quiet temptation in this season, measuring your worth by how busy you are. You may begin to feel that if you are not constantly moving or producing results, you are wasting what has been given. Remember this: what I give is not diminished by stillness, it is deepened. Stillness is not the opposite of effectiveness, it is the source of precision. When you make room for stillness, you allow me to adjust things that are slightly but critically out of alignment. I am teaching you how to live from the center, not from the edges. Living from the edges keeps you reacting, always chasing what is happening around you. Living from the center allows you to act with intention. You are no longer driven by false urgency. You are guided by clear priorities. In that place, you can say not yet without guilt, and say yes without the pressure to prove anything. As responsibility increases, I also want you to notice how you treat yourself. Do not be harsher with yourself than necessary. I do not set standards to exhaust you. I set them to protect you from trading away what is essential. If you find yourself constantly forcing yourself forward, that is a sign you have drifted off rhythm. I do not drive you with a whip. I lead you with my presence. Return to that rhythm whenever you feel pulled away. In this season, you will also see that some relationships need a recalibration of distance, not because people are bad, but because their level of access to your life must be placed correctly. I am teaching you that love does not mean allowing everyone into every space. You can love and still keep boundaries. You can care without carrying burdens that are not yours. When you maintain healthy boundaries, you protect not only yourself, but also what I am doing through you. I know you once feared that if you were not always available, others would leave or judge you as cold. But my child, those who are meant to walk with you in this season will respect your rhythm. They will not require you to prove loyalty through exhaustion, and those who remain connected to you only for temporary benefit will naturally fall away when you no longer respond in the old ways. Do not grieve this. It is a necessary refining, so that you may walk more lightly. I am also teaching you how to carry responsibility without carrying emotional weight. Responsibility is the task entrusted to you. Emotional weight is the feeling that everything depends on you. I have not placed you in a position to rescue everything. I have placed you in a position of partnership. When you do your part faithfully, you are free to entrust the rest to me without fear. This does not make you passive, it makes you steady. There will be moments when you feel as though you are standing between two worlds: the old world, where everything was smaller but familiar, and the new world, where everything is wider but requires greater maturity. That in-between space can feel unsteady. But my child, it is a passage, not a destination. I am leading you through it, not leaving you there. Do not turn back simply because familiarity feels comforting. Move forward because you have been equipped for what lies ahead. Keep one simple compass in this season. Anything that pulls you away from my presence, no matter how good it appears, needs to be reconsidered. And anything that keeps you close to me, even if it requires change, is worthy of your trust. My presence does not remove you from real life. It places you within it with stability. When you remain in my presence, you will not lose your way. Even as the path widens, the balance I am teaching you is not a skill learned once and finished. It is a rhythm you will return to many times. Each return will be lighter, more natural, more grounded. I am not in a hurry. I am patient, and within that patience, You will learn how to carry much without heaviness, travel far without losing direction, expand without losing your roots. My beloved child, I want to lead you one step further into establishing a new identity without denying the past. This identity is not a title you choose for yourself, nor an image you must maintain before others. It is a position I place you in, formed over time, through faithfulness, through seasons when you stood firm, unseen. When identity is anchored in the right place, you no longer live reacting to external opinions. You live from internal truth. You may notice that the way others look at you begins to change. Not all of it will be positive, not all of it negative. Some will look with new respect, some with curiosity, some with skepticism. Do not allow any of these gazes to become your compass. Your compass is the truth I have placed within you, a truth that does not require immediate agreement to remain true. When you stand firmly in that truth, others will adjust in time, or they will choose a different path. You are not responsible for managing their perception. You are responsible for stewarding your life. This new identity does not come from becoming more than someone else, but from becoming aligned with what I have planted in you. That alignment carries a distinct kind of peace, a peace that does not need constant explanation to be defended. You will no longer feel compelled to speak excessively in order to be understood. You will not feel the need to shrink or exaggerate yourself. You stand whole, and you allow your life to speak. This is a freedom I have long prepared for you. In this process, I am also separating you from a subtle temptation, using influence to strengthen the ego. As influence grows, it becomes easy to confuse authority with control, responsibility with possession. But my child, true influence does not require you to stand above others. It invites you to stand more firmly in humility. When you are humble, your influence does not diminish others, it enlarges them. That is how you know you are walking rightly. When I lift you, I do not strip you of your humanity. You will still feel, still learn, still encounter moments that require adjustment. The difference is this: you no longer question your worth every time adjustment is needed. You no longer see learning as proof of insufficiency. Instead, you recognize learning as evidence that you are alive and growing. This new identity allows flexibility without the loss of core truth. There will be moments when you are invited into spaces you once believed were not meant for you. Do not allow familiarity with old spaces to pull you back. I did not bring you forward only to call you back because it feels safer there. True safety is not found in what you know, it is found where I am. When you follow me, even unfamiliar ground becomes shelter. Be mindful of how you tell the story of your life, especially to yourself. Do not tell it as a series of deficiencies to be compensated for, or wounds to be hidden. Tell it as a guided journey, where every chapter, including the dark ones, has shaped who you are becoming. When you tell your story in the light of truth, the past no longer binds you, and the future no longer pressures you to prove anything. This new identity also reshapes how you respond to praise and criticism. Praise will no longer inflate you. Criticism will no longer collapse you, not because you have grown cold, but because you are anchored deeper. When you know who you are, you can receive feedback without losing direction. You can keep what is true and release what is not without defensiveness. This is a maturity I deeply value. I know you once feared that if you did not remain humble, what I gave would become a burden. But my child, humility is not self-diminishment. It is right placement. You do not need to reject good gifts to prove humility. You simply receive them as a faithful steward, knowing that what you are given does not define you, but how you care for it reveals who you are. In the days ahead, you may be invited to become a place of support for others, not because you have every answer, but because you carry steady presence. Do not pressure yourself to be the solution for everyone. Your honest presence is already a gift. When you are there with listening, with healthy boundaries, with compassion free of control, you reflect what I have formed within you, and that is enough. As influence increases, it becomes easy to forget the small things that once nourished you. Do not neglect them. Simple joys keep you close to your true self. They remind you that you are not only called to do, but also to live. When you live fully, what you do carries the breath of life, not the scent of strain. I want you to stand in a quiet conviction you do not need to become someone else to enter what I am opening. You have been prepared to be yourself, more mature, more grounded, more free. External attention will come and go, but the truth I have placed within you will remain. Walk forward with that steady humility, and you will discover that true influence does not need noise to endure. What I am building is not a brilliant moment that flares up and fades, but a direction with depth and endurance. You are being placed within it not to shine for yourself, but to reflect light in a way that is human, honest, and true. And I will continue to walk with you, step by step, so that what has begun is completed rightly at the right time, in the right way, and in a way that fits who you are, my beloved child. I want you to pause for a moment and learn what will keep everything I give from fading with time: inner reinforcement. There are blessings that only need to be received, but there are blessings that must be safeguarded with wisdom otherwise. The very good I give can become a burden. I do not give to test your endurance. I give so you may live with sustainability, where the fire does not blaze and die out, but burns steadily warm, bright, and lasting. You are familiar with seasons of striving just to avoid losing what you had, but in this season, I am inviting you into a different way of keeping through care, not through tension. When you strain to hold on, you shrink. When you care in order to keep, you nourish. What I entrust to you must be tended, like a garden that needs water in the right measure, light at the right time, and the patience of a gardener who understands seasons. I do not ask you to guard it day and night. I ask you to be faithful in small, steady rhythms. Lasting strength does not come from doing more, but from living more deeply. Your responsibilities may be increasing, your sphere of influence widening, and the outward pace may seem faster than before. But if you allow your inner rhythm to be dragged along by the outer pace, you will soon be depleted. I am teaching you to let the inner rhythm lead the outer one. When the inside is at peace, the outside, even when busy, will not unravel you. Some believe that keeping the fire alive means constant intensity. But, my child, a steady flame does not need strong winds without pause. It needs consistent fuel. Your fuel is not recognition, not immediate visible results, and not how much others need you. Your fuel is my presence in moments when no one is watching. If you neglect those moments in pursuit of productivity, you will soon find yourself doing much, but running dry. Learn to steward blessing without letting it define you. When good things come in succession, you may unconsciously tie your worth to whether everything is going well. But, my child, your value does not rise when outcomes are favorable, nor does it fall when difficulties appear. If you anchor your identity to results, every fluctuation will shake you. I want you anchored in the truth that you belong to me, so you can walk through both sunny days and stormy ones with the same steady foundation. In this season, I am teaching you to say enough at the right time, not because you fear lack, but because you understand that limits are grace. There are good things that are unnecessary. There are honorable invitations that are not fitting. There are attractive opportunities that do not belong to your path. When you learn to say enough, you protect what is essential. You are not refusing out of fear, you are refusing out of faithfulness. My child, I know there will be moments when you feel pressure to maintain standards you are not even sure when you adopted. I want you to return to one simple question: does this keep me close to me? If the answer is yes, continue in peace. If the answer is no, even if it looks good, have the courage to adjust. Lasting reinforcement does not come from clinging to everything. It comes from continual realignment. Some seasons begin with great brightness, but the true test comes when things become familiar, when applause fades, when progress returns to ordinary rhythms, when results no longer surprise. That is when real fire is proven. Real fire does not need heightened emotion to survive, it needs faithfulness. Keep doing what is right, even when no one notices. Keep choosing what is good, even when there is no immediate reward. That is how the flame is preserved. My child, I have not called you into a life burned out by responsibility. I have called you into a life illuminated by purpose. When purpose is clear, responsibility ceases to be a burden and becomes a tool. You do not act to be recognized, you act because you know why you act. And when you know why, you are not pulled into things that do not belong to you. In this phase, I will also teach you how to return quickly when you slip out of rhythm, not so you become fixated on mistakes, but so small misalignments do not accumulate into great weariness. When you notice you are living faster than necessary, slow down. When you realize you are carrying too much out of fear of missing out, release it. When you find yourself working without joy, return to the source. I am always there to receive you back, not with reproach, but with gentle guidance. Lasting reinforcement also requires that you nourish your inner life with simple things, quiet gratitude without display, moments of silence without agenda, small joys without explanation. Do not underestimate these. They are pillars that keep the structure from collapsing when pressure increases. When you pause to give thanks, to breathe, to be present, you are doing something deeply spiritual. I want you to continue in this season with a gentle certainty. You do not prove sustainability by never growing tired. You prove it by resting at the right time, adjusting at the right place, and returning to the right source. I am not looking for those who burn brightly and disappear. I am looking for those who know how to tend the fire so it may light the way for many others. My beloved child, as abundance begins to appear more clearly in your life, I want you to recognize something very practical yet often overlooked. Challenges do not disappear. When blessing arrives, they simply change form. In seasons of lack, the challenge is learning how to stand. In seasons of plenty, the challenge is learning how to remain unchanged in heart. I am not saying this to make you overly cautious, but to help you walk with mature awareness. Blessing does not come to make you careless. It comes to test the depth I have already formed within you. There are things you prayed for over a long time, and when they begin to appear, you may be surprised that the feeling accompanying them is not always pure joy. Sometimes it is greater responsibility, increased attention, or expectations you never asked for. Do not let this confuse you. I do not deceive you with blessing. I enlarge you so that you can carry it. If you feel your heart being stretched, it is not a sign that you have gone the wrong way. It is a sign that you now need to apply what I have taught you about boundaries and order. In seasons of abundance, one of the most subtle challenges is distraction. When many options open at once, you may feel pressured to take advantage of everything so as not to waste opportunity. But remember this, not everything that opens is meant to be entered. I do not bless you so you will live in constant reaction. I bless you so you can live with intention. When you choose less but choose rightly, you protect the depth of what I am doing. You may notice that people who once paid little attention now seek you out. Relationships that were once equal may begin to carry quiet comparison. Do not let these shifts redefine how you see yourself. If you allow external gaze to become your measure, you will lose inner freedom. Return to the simple question I taught you: does this keep me close to me? That answer will guide you safely. My child, there is also the temptation to control in order to preserve results. When what I give begins to bear fruit, you may feel the urge to hold everything tightly to prevent deviation. But control does not create sustainability, it creates tension. I did not call you to be an anxious gatekeeper. I called you to be a faithful steward. A faithful steward does their part fully, but does not live in fear of loss. When you release excessive control, you allow me to continue doing what only I can do. In this season, you may also face the challenge of reversed comparison. Before, you may have compared yourself to those ahead and felt lacking. Now, you may compare yourself to those behind and feel pressure to maintain an image. Both are traps. Comparison, in any direction, throws you off center. I do not measure you by relative position. I measure you by faithfulness. When you are faithful to what I have entrusted to you, you are walking rightly, regardless of where others stand. Let me speak to keeping your heart steady as circumstances change. Steadiness does not mean refusing to adapt. It means your core values are not up for negotiation. When pressure increases, when benefit appears, when you have more to lose than before, that is when those values are tested. Do not wait for that moment to decide what you believe. Decide now. When the decision is made in advance, you will not struggle in the moment of choice. Learn to receive correction without interpreting it as threat. In seasons of abundance, it is easy to mistake feedback for obstruction. But my child, I still use people and situations to refine you, not to diminish you, but to protect you from subtle drift you may not notice. When you keep a humble, teachable heart, correction becomes a layer of protection. You may sometimes remember earlier difficult seasons and wonder whether you have lost simplicity. No, this simplicity is not lost when life expands. It is lost when presence is exchanged for performance. You can live simply even in abundance if you continue choosing what is essential. Simplicity is choosing what matters most and living it fully. Even as context changes, pay attention to how you respond to small delays in a season of abundance. Before, delay may have discouraged you because you had already waited so long. Now, delay may irritate you because you have grown accustomed to smooth flow. Do not let this erode your patience. I am still working in waiting spaces, even when they look different. When you remain patient in plenty, you demonstrate that your faith is not dependent on speed. I am training you to live steadily amid change, not by making everything unchanging, but by keeping your core intact. When the core is kept, you can adapt without losing yourself. You can expand without fragmenting. You can move forward without being swept away. This is the quiet strength I am shaping within you. Remember, challenges in seasons of abundance are not signs that blessing is wrong. They are a natural part of growth. I did not bring you here to leave you to manage alone. I am present, watching, guiding, adjusting when needed, and guarding you as you remain in trust. You do not need to strain to keep everything right. you only need to remain in the right place. Keep your heart soft, even when circumstances become favorable. Softness does not make you weak. It makes you discerning. When you are discerning, you hear me clearly. When you hear me clearly, you avoid wrong turns, even attractive ones. And when you avoid those turns, you preserve the sustainability I am building. Now move forward with a quiet conviction. You do not need to fear good things. You only need to learn how to live with them. And I will be there, teaching you step by step, so that blessing does not draw you away from me, but brings you closer each day. My beloved, understand that another layer of refinement is still taking place, quiet, deep, and decisive for the long road ahead. This is not the intense testing of earlier seasons, nor the upheaval that once shook you. This is the refinement of stability, and it is here that many stop without realizing it. Mistaking things are fine, for nothing needs renewal. Stability is not a destination, it is a foundation from which you go farther. If you stop because you believe you have arrived at safety, you will lose a subtle but precious inner momentum I placed within you. I do not call you to live under strain in order to advance. I call you to keep your heart supple before my leading. When you remain supple, you can stand firm without becoming rigid. When you remain supple, you can endure without growing hardened. There is a very subtle challenge in seasons of stability, the temptation of small compromises. Not obvious ones, but quiet adjustments, setting aside a principle for convenience, loosening a boundary for comfort, remaining silent about something you know is not right because you do not want to disturb the calm. My child, repeated small compromises slowly shift alignment. I do not say this to make you anxious, but to cultivate gentle alertness. When you stay alert, you adjust early, and early adjustment is always lighter. My beloved child, I also want you to look again at how you relate to familiarity. When things become familiar, you may unconsciously begin to live by momentum. You still do what is right, but you no longer place your whole heart into it. You pray, but you no longer listen deeply. You work, but you no longer feel the meaning that once stirred you. I do not reproach you for this. It is something many people experience. But I invite you back to conscious presence, just a little more wholehearted presence, and the fire will be renewed. The refinement of this season does not come to take joy away, but to protect joy from fading into dull habit. True joy does not need to be dramatic, it needs to be nourished. When you continue to do what is right with gratitude, even without strong emotion, you are entering a very deep level of maturity. This is where faith no longer rests on feeling, but on attachment and devotion. I am also refining how you understand faithfulness. Faithfulness is not only staying when things are hard. Faithfulness is choosing what is right when there is no pressure forcing you to do so. When no one is watching, when no one is urging you on, when no one is applauding and you still choose integrity, this kind of faithfulness is precious to me, because it reveals that your identity is settled and anchored, no longer dependent on circumstance for activation. Refinement is not a sign that I am demanding more from you. It is a sign that I am trusting you more. I do not entrust deeper layers to those who can walk only when supported by emotion. I entrust them to those who can walk in quietness without losing direction. You are being led into that place not because you are no longer weak, but because you have learned how to return to me when you are weak. There may be moments when everything feels too ordinary compared to what you once hoped for. Do not despise this ordinariness. It is in ordinary rhythms that lasting things are built. Relationships deepen. Values are etched into daily life. Small choices are repeated until they become healthy instincts. I do not build eternal things through rare, dramatic moments. I build them through very ordinary days, lived rightly. Pay attention to the subtle mental weariness that can appear when life lacks drama. Sometimes people grow so accustomed to struggle that when peace arrives, they do not know what to do with themselves. If you sense a strange emptiness, do not rush to fill it with busyness. Let me meet you there. In that space, I will renew your motivation not through pressure, but through a gentle reminder of why you began. I am leading you into a form of sustainability that does not rely on control, but on deep connection. This connection does not need to be intensely felt every day to remain real. It is like roots, unseen, yet holding the whole tree upright through the wind. When you no longer feel the need to prove that you are growing, that is often the clearest sign that you truly are. In this season of refinement, you will learn to recognize joy in sufficiency, not the sufficiency of compromise, but the sufficiency of being anchored. You do not need to chase novelty to feel alive. You carry vitality within your very presence. When you are in the right place, you do not need extra stimulation to feel meaningful. This is a very deep freedom I want you to enter. I also want you to keep your heart open to continued teaching. Do not assume that because things are stable, you no longer need to learn. But also, do not assume that learning must always come through painful correction. Some lessons are gentle received through observation, through listening, through allowing yourself to be guided without feeling threatened. When you keep this posture, you will continue to grow without being pushed. My child, you are stepping into long-term sustainability, not flashy, not fragile, but solid and capable of nourishing many others. You do not need to fear that you will lose what I have given if you slow down. On the contrary, when you live at the right rhythm, what I give will remain with you and grow alongside you. I am completing within you a foundation upon which future seasons will rest. And because this foundation is built through quiet faithfulness, it will not be easily shaken. Walk on with a settled heart, with gentle attentiveness, and with confidence that I do not only begin well with you, I will also bring you to a good completion. My beloved child, when a stable foundation has been firmly set within you, I want you to notice a very natural movement beginning to flow outward. Blessing no longer stops with you, not because you have become full enough to give, but because the current I placed within you was designed to move through, not to be stored. When water stands still too long, it becomes stagnant. When it flows in the right direction, it brings life. I do not call you to be the source, I am the source. I call you to be a channel, and a healthy channel allows the flow to pass through without distorting it. You will notice that others begin to approach you in new ways. Not all come to receive. Some come to be heard. Some to learn. Some to be supported in fragile moments. Do not fear this increase, but also do not assume you must become the answer for everyone. I have not entrusted you with carrying the entire river. I have entrusted you with keeping the channel clear. When you keep the channel clear through honesty, healthy boundaries, and compassion, free of control, I will do the rest. True overflow is never loud. It does not need promotion to be effective. It enters the lives of others through your steady presence, through the way you speak truth without wounding, through the way you help without making the receiver feel small. I do not want you to give from a position above others. I want you to give from a position of companionship. When you stand beside people, they can rise. When you stand above them, they tend to bow. Choose the way that strengthens others rather than making them dependent. Understand that overflow does not always mean giving material things or solutions. Sometimes what others need most is a safe space to hear their own inner voice again. You can offer that through non-judgmental listening, unhurried presence, and respectful silence. Do not underestimate these. They are powerful instruments I often use to heal and realign. As blessing flows outward, you will face an important inner question. Am I giving from abundance or from pressure? These two are entirely different. Giving from abundance carries joy and freedom. Giving from pressure carries fatigue and bitterness. I do not need you to sacrifice yourself to prove goodness. I need you to remain faithful to the source so that your giving does not drain you. If you notice that you are giving with a sense of obligation, pause and return to me. I will reset your rhythm. There is a very subtle temptation in seasons of overflow, equating your value with how much you are needed. My child, you are loved not because you are useful. You are useful because you are loved. If you reverse this order, you will slowly lose your inner freedom. I do not want you living in fear that if you do not respond, you will lose your place. Your place does not come from busyness, it comes from obedience. When you are in the right place, I will position the right people at the right time, neither early nor late. My beloved child, I want you to learn how to discern between responsibility and compassion. Compassion allows you to feel the pain of others. Responsibility helps you know what truly belongs to you and what does not. If you carry both without distinction, you will quickly become exhausted. I have not assigned you the responsibility of fixing every problem. I have entrusted you with faithfulness to what I have given you. Let me be the one who carries the ultimate weight. When you return to me what is not yours to bear, you protect the sustainability of the flow. There will be moments when you must say no in order to protect a greater yes. Do not be afraid of this. A well-placed no can be a far greater gift than many vague yeses. When you say no with wisdom and love, you teach others to respect healthy boundaries, and you keep blessing from being distorted. I do not measure your kindness by how often you say yes. I measure it by your honesty before me. I also want you to remember that true overflow never pulls you away from your private life with me. If helping others leaves you without space to be present, that is a sign the rhythm has shifted. You do not need to turn your life into a public platform to prove effectiveness. I work most powerfully in hidden places. Guard those private moments as your source of life. In this process, you will learn a new joy, the joy of seeing others walk forward without depending on you. Do not fear when people grow and move on. That is not loss, it is fruit. You are not called to keep people close to yourself. You are called to help them stand firm and then take their own steps. When you can rejoice in the growth of others, you are living in a very deep freedom. I will also teach you how to receive without guilt. A healthy channel does not only give, it also knows how to receive. There will be times when I bless you through the very people you once supported. Do not refuse because you think you must always be the strong one. When you allow yourself to receive, you honor the way I design the circle of grace. Receiving does not make you weak, it keeps you balanced. Let overflow unfold according to the rhythm I set, not according to the pressure of external needs. When you keep this rhythm, you will see that blessing not only reaches others, but returns to deepen your own life. You do not lose when you give rightly, you are expanded. Yet this expansion does not dilute you, it enriches you in depth, in understanding, in mature compassion. Walk with a simple conviction. You do not need to become everything to everyone in order to live your purpose. You only need to be faithful to what I have entrusted to you. Keep the channel clear and guard your inner freedom. When you do this, overflow will happen naturally, without strain, without burnout, and carrying real life. What I am doing through you is not a short-term campaign, it is a long river. Continue with humility, with clear boundaries, and with the quiet joy of one who knows they are standing in the right place within a much greater design. My beloved child, as your influence becomes more clearly felt, I want you to learn a very subtle wisdom, the art of leading without taking another person's place. True leadership is not standing in front so that all eyes are fixed on you. True leadership is standing close enough for others to rise, and far enough back so they do not lean on you. I did not give you influence to make you the center. I gave it so you could be a temporary support, a place where others are strengthened and then continue their own journey. You may notice that some people begin to look to you as a standard, a reference point, or a source of validation. Be careful with this, not because it is inherently wrong, but because it can quietly shift alignment. If you allow yourself to become the place where others seek permission instead of seeking truth, you will unintentionally replace me with yourself. I do not share that position with anyone, not even you. Therefore, when people ask you, lead them back to the deepest place within themselves where I am already speaking, rather than giving answers that create dependence on you. My child, leading through presence requires learning when to be silent. There are times when even correct advice does not need to be spoken. There are seasons when listening carries more power than instruction. When you do not rush to fill silence with words, you create space for others to hear themselves again. That is a rare gift. I often work most powerfully in silences that are honored. Pay attention to how you use authority. True authority does not need to be asserted through command. It is recognized through consistency. When your words and your life are aligned, trust grows naturally. When you keep healthy boundaries, others learn respect. When you do not manipulate outcomes, people feel safe. This is the foundation of lasting influence, not pressure, but trust built over time. Do not let another person's urgency become your emergency unless I have placed it in your hands. I am not indifferent to pain. I am deeply attentive, but I am also precise. If you react to every need, you will lose discernment. Ask me, what is my part in this moment? Sometimes your part is action. Sometimes intercession. Sometimes simply being present. When you do your part rightly, you will not burn out, and the outcome will be preserved. Understand this: supporting others does not mean carrying their responsibilities for them. True support helps people stand firmly within their own responsibility. If you do too much for them, you weaken them. If you withdraw completely, you miss the call to walk alongside. Wisdom lives in the middle, giving enough to strengthen, but not so much that movement stops. I am teaching you this rhythm because it will protect both you and those you walk with. There will be moments when you feel disappointed because others do not respond as you hoped. Do not let this close your heart. I do not call you to control results. I call you to be faithful to the process. When you sow with love and truth, the outcome belongs to me. Some seeds require longer seasons before they emerge. Do not dig them up to check. Trust, and keep walking forward. My beloved child, learn to discern between influence and visibility. Visibility can come quickly, but influence takes time. Visibility attracts attention. Influence changes direction. If you choose visibility, you will have to constantly maintain an image. If you choose influence, you are free to live truthfully. I am not searching for those who shine brightly for a brief moment. I am seeking those who light a lamp so others can find the way through a long night. My child, leading through presence also requires that you care for yourself with honesty. If you neglect the boundaries you have learned, you will begin to give from a place of depletion. And when you give from emptiness, what you offer no longer carries life, it carries pressure. Keep your private life with me as a priority. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. A channel must be cleansed regularly for the water to remain clear. Remember this, not everyone you help is meant to remain in your life. Some are sent for a short season. When that season ends, let them go in peace. Do not hold on through emotion or role. When you honor the season of another, you also honor your own. A timely farewell does not diminish what was shared, it completes it. In this art of leading, you will discover a very deep joy, the joy of seeing others find their own voice. When you hear them speak with new clarity, when you see them make decisions with new peace, when you realize they no longer need you, as they once did, rejoice. This is the sign that you have led well. You have not lost your role, you have fulfilled it. I will teach you how to receive feedback without defensiveness. Some input will sharpen you. Some criticism does not need to be carried. When you do not react from ego, discernment becomes swift. You receive what is true and release what does not belong to you without losing peace. This is a precious capacity in a season of influence, and I am forming it within you. My child, remember that leading through presence is not a technique. It is the fruit of a life deeply anchored. You do not need to become someone else to lead well. You need to become deeper. When you are deep, your words carry weight. When you are deep, your silence carries strength. When you are deep, others feel safe to grow. I want you to continue walking with a clear decision settled in your heart. You will lead through presence, not control, through listening, not imposition, through faithfulness, not performance. When you keep this decision, your influence will spread in a way that is natural and enduring. I am shaping within you a kind of influence that does not require noise to be recognized. This kind of influence will open paths for many others to walk more freely, more confidently, more aligned with what I have placed within them. I will continue to walk with you in this subtle art, teaching you rhythm by rhythm, so that you may support others while keeping your own center intact. My beloved child, now that you have learned to support others with presence and wisdom, I want to lead you to a place that is both very deep and very free, to the art of healthy transition. Many struggle here not because they lack kindness, but because they fear losing a role that once made them feel significant. But my child, I did not place your meaning in being needed forever. I placed it in faithful obedience. Season by season, some roles are given to initiate, not to maintain. Some relationships are sent to walk alongside you for a time, not to bind you for life. Transition is not abandonment, nor is it avoidance of responsibility. Transition is the act of one who trusts that I am at work in others as I have been at work in you. When you hold on to a role too long because you fear others are not ready, you unintentionally delay their growth. When you release at the right time, you make space for them to rise, and you honor the work I am doing in them. I do not need you to keep everything standing. I need you not to stand in my way. There may be moments when you feel an emptiness after releasing a role. That emptiness is not loss, it is completion. Do not rush to fill it with new busyness or new responsibility simply to avoid the feeling of space. Stay with that space for a while. In it, I will clarify your next step. Emptiness is a place of transition, not deficiency. It allows what is new to arrive without being mixed with what has passed. Learn to distinguish between attachment and dependence. Attachment can be healthy, dependence is not. When you become the sole support, you eventually become a limitation. I did not create you to be a limit for others. I created you to open paths. When you help others attach to truth and to me, they can walk even when you are not present. That is true success, even if it is not immediately recognized. Healthy transition also requires you to release the need for recognition. There may be fruit others harvest from seeds you planted, and your name may not be mentioned. Do not grieve this. I see. I remember. Not a single drop of your labor falls unnoticed. When you no longer need to appear in the story to know your worth, you have entered a very deep freedom. And from that freedom, I will entrust you with greater things that you do not need to guard defensively. True blessing does not depend on your constant presence in order to keep flowing. If blessing only exists when you are there, then it has not yet been placed rightly. True blessing carries the capacity to multiply when given well. When you step away at the right time, you do not diminish the flow, you widen it. I did not call you to be the center of the stream. I called you to be the one who opens it at the right moment. You may have to face misunderstanding when you release a role. Some may think you have changed, grown distant, or stopped caring. Do not let these interpretations hold you back. You cannot live faithfully to my calling and satisfy every expectation at the same time. I do not measure you by how others interpret your decisions. I measure you by your faithfulness to what I am speaking. When you are in the right place, I will defend you in ways you do not need to manage yourself. Learn to release without bitterness. If you let go with a wounded heart, you will carry that wound into the next season. But if you let go with gratitude, you will walk lightly. Give thanks for what has been, for the lessons learned, for the people who walked with you. Then place them into my hands. Gratitude is how you close a season without closing your heart. My child, timely transition also opens a new movement within your own life. When you are no longer bound to roles that have been completed, you gain space to hear me more clearly. You may be led into new spaces where your contribution takes a different form. Do not carry old definitions of influence with you. I do not repeat the way I use you. Each season, I renew the form so that the essence remains pure. My beloved child, I also want you to remember that releasing a role does not mean cutting off relationship. Some relationships shift from walking closely together to quietly cheering on, from guiding to interceding, from nearness to respectful distance. Do not force them to keep their old shape. When you allow relationships to change form, you preserve life within them. This flexibility is a sign of mature love. In this season, you must learn to trust not only when I add, but also when I remove, not removing blessing, but removing what has completed its purpose. I am not making you poorer, I am making you lighter. And when you are lighter, you can go farther. What I am preparing ahead of you requires your hands to be free. You will not hold on to what I have already declared complete. You will release at the right time with gratitude, with trust, and with the quiet joy of one who knows the flow does not end with them. When you choose this, you enter a very deep freedom, the freedom to continue walking with me into the new things I will reveal. The overflow I have begun through you will continue undisturbed, unforced, and not dependent on you holding a role. And precisely in releasing at the right moment, you will see me do more than you ever imagined. I will continue writing this story, and you will continue to have a place in it, not because you kept a position, but because you kept faithfulness. My beloved child, now I want you to step into a very different space, the space of inner completion. This is not the feeling of being finished in the human sense, nor is it the end of the journey. It is a state of abiding, a place where you live, work, love, and move without being pulled by the insecurity of needing to become someone else. This completion is not loud, it is deep and settled. It does not seek validation. It knows it is in the right place. In this space, you will notice that peace is no longer something you search for after everything is resolved. Peace becomes the ground from which you face everything, even what remains unfinished outwardly. You no longer postpone joy until all problems are solved. You learn to live fully in the middle of the process. This is a very deep maturity I have led you into, not overnight, but through many patient seasons. The long-range vision I am opening to you is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to steady you. When you see farther, you are no longer ruled by short-term fluctuations. Small successes do not inflate you. Temporary setbacks do not discourage you. You begin to see life as a larger current, where every stretch has meaning, even though not every stretch carries the same emotion or intensity. Living with long-range vision does not mean ignoring the present. On the contrary, you become more deeply present, because you no longer use today to prove tomorrow. You do what is required today with focus and simple joy, knowing that each small step contributes to a greater picture. When you live this way, haste falls away, and steadiness takes its place. I am healing the way you relate to time. Before, you may have seen time as an enemy, always late, always scarce, always pressuring. Now I am teaching you to see time as a companion. You do not need to run to catch up. You need to walk in rhythm. When you walk in rhythm, you do not miss what belongs to you. What has not arrived is not lost. What has arrived does not frighten you. You may notice that your decisions feel less dramatic, but more precise. You are no longer driven by fleeting emotion. You no longer need excessive confirmation from others. You listen deeply, then act clearly. This is not withdrawal. It is the maturation of discernment. When discernment is strong, you save immense energy that was once consumed by hesitation. Completion does not distance you from me. It draws you into a quiet intimacy. You do not always need intense sensation to know I am near. There are seasons when closeness is expressed through steadiness. You no longer require great signs to believe. You believe because you have walked far enough to recognize my voice in very ordinary things. This is a relationship that has grown mature. Within this long-range vision, you learn to accept differing rhythms in others without irritation. You no longer feel compelled to pull everyone along at your pace. You honor their process, just as I honored yours. When you do this, your heart stays soft, and your relationships are not strained by pressure. True maturity does not distance you from people. It makes you safe to be near without controlling. You will see that some old dreams have changed shape. Do not grieve. Dreams mature as you mature. What you once desired in one form may now be expressed in another, deeper, more sustainable, more aligned with who you have become. I am not taking dreams away. I am refining them so they give you life rather than drain it. I am also teaching you how to live with sufficiency without defensiveness. Sufficiency does not mean you stop hoping. It means hope no longer makes you anxious. You can wait with trust, not tension. You can look ahead while honoring what is present. When you live this way, gratitude no longer has to be practiced. It becomes a natural reflex. You will notice that your words carry more weight, even as you speak less. You do not need to persuade. Clarity itself persuades. When you share, you do not speak from lack, but from ripened experience. Others sense this, and they listen not because you speak impressively, but because you speak truthfully. My beloved child, living in inner completion does not mean you will no longer face challenges, but challenges no longer define you. They become material for you to apply what you have learned. Not tests you must pass to prove your worth. When you face challenges from this posture, you are no longer drawn into drama. You address each matter with calmness and clear sight. You are now living in a new way of being, no longer pushed by fear, no longer pulled by ambition, but guided by quiet wisdom. You do not need to see every step ahead in order to move forward. You only need to remain in trust today. Long-range vision does not demand that you see everything. It asks that you be faithful to what is set before you now. I am bringing you into a rhythm of life where peace is no longer a reward, but the atmosphere, and within this atmosphere, everything I have planted through seasons of waiting, through acts of release, through hidden lessons begins to connect into a coherent story. You do not need to explain this story to anyone. Your life will speak it for you. Remain in this rhythm. What comes next will not require greater effort from you, but deeper trust. And I will continue to lead you, not so that you move faster, but so that you go farther with a settled heart, clear eyes, and the quiet certainty that what I began in you is being completed in the right way. My beloved child, now that you have entered the settled state of inner completion, I want to lead you deeper into how to sustain lasting peace while final movements continue around you, even when the inside has been reordered. The outside world does not stop shifting, and it is precisely here that true peace reveals itself most clearly. This peace is not the absence of motion, it is the ability to remain steady while motion continues. Some changes now come not to test you, but to finish what has already been prepared. They may be subtle, unannounced, sometimes only a small adjustment in how you respond, a choice made differently from old habits, or a decision reached without excessive deliberation. Do not overlook these refinements. They are like the final touches of an artisan altering nothing essential, yet bringing the work into fullness. In earlier seasons, you may have felt compelled to immediately extract meaning from every event, as though not understanding right away meant losing direction. Now I am teaching you a deeper trust. You do not need instant understanding in order to walk rightly. Some things become clear only after you have gone far enough. When you stop forcing explanations, you preserve space for wisdom to reveal itself in proper time. Learn to live with what appears unfinished on the outside without allowing it to disturb what is complete within. There may still be loose ends, unanswered questions, or outcomes not yet visible. But my child, the wholeness I have placed within you does not depend on everything outside aligning perfectly. It depends on whether you continue trusting me in the remaining spaces of waiting. When you stay in that trust, what is missing will find its place naturally. Step into a very light way of living a life that does not armor itself against what has not yet happened. Before, you may have lived by preparing for worst-case scenarios as a form of self-protection. Now I am releasing you from that habit. You do not need to carry the weight of imagined futures. I am not asking you to be naive. I am inviting you to trust. Trust does not weaken you, it frees your hands to live. In this season, you will notice that peace does not come from avoiding conflict, but from facing it without losing your center. When disagreement arises, you no longer respond from fear of loss, but from clarity about what is right. You speak when needed, remain silent when appropriate. And you do not need to win in order to remain grounded. This is the sign of an inner life that has been realigned. Pay attention to how you handle old memories when they resurface unexpectedly, not to pull you backward, but like a final wave before the sea becomes fully calm. When memories arise, do not push them away, and do not sink into them. Look at them through the new light you now carry. You will see that what once wounded you no longer holds the same power. These memories become testimony of the road you have walked, not chains that bind you. Sustaining peace also requires honoring your rhythm of rest, even when you feel you are doing well. Rest is not only for recovery after exhaustion. Rest is how stability is preserved from erosion. Do not wait until you are depleted to stop. See timely rest as part of mature wisdom. When you rest in trust, you declare that the world does not collapse when you pause. I am also teaching you to release subtle expectations you may not realize you still hold. Perhaps the expectation that things should now always be smooth, or that obstacles should no longer appear. My child, lasting peace is not built on easy circumstances, but on refusing to let circumstances define your inner state. When you let go of those expectations, you are not shaken when waves appear. You simply move across them with steadiness. This is how peace is maintained, not by controlling the environment, but by remaining anchored within. And as you continue in this way, you will find that even as things around you complete themselves, nothing within you is unsettled. Beloved child, in this season, you will sense a new freedom in simply being present. You no longer have to constantly think about the next step while you are still in the current one. You eat when you eat, work when you work, listen when you listen. This full presence is one of the clearest expressions of peace. When you are present in this way, you do not miss life while trying to prepare for life. Understand this sustaining peace is not a state you reach once and then keep unchanged forever. It is a choice you return to each day. Some days, that choice feels effortless. Other days, it requires a gentle remembering. But every time you choose to return to peace, you deepen the inner pathway that has already been formed. And that pathway becomes more familiar, more natural, easier to walk. Peace is no longer something you must protect from the world. It is something you carry into the world. You step into spaces that once made you tense, and now they no longer have power over you. Not because those spaces have completely changed, but because you have changed how you stand within them. You stand steady, and that steadiness begins to spread. My child, the final changes in this season are not meant to dismantle what I have built, but to seal it. They are like a mark of confirmation needing no further explanation. You do not need to do anything special to hold on to this peace. You only need to continue living truthfully from what I have already done within you. When you live truthfully, peace remains. You are no longer in a race to arrive somewhere else. You are in the journey of living fully, step by step. And in every step, I am there, not pushing you forward, not pulling you back, simply walking with you. What remains will be completed at the right time, in a way that does not disturb your heart. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue receiving the living word together, building a steadfast faith, and walking in the boundless love of God. Amen.